Kyle, I've got the solution to our dreary, dreary evenings. We can
Bam.
we can pop a little magic mind
Ooh.
and get a little pick me up and still go to sleep, just enough to give us some clarity of mind, a little creativity, get the creative juices flowing, maybe give you one or two before the podcast, to really focus you in. What do you
You
think of
fall
that?
asleep during one podcast, and all of a sudden that's your problem.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, absolutely. The worst thing you want to do is, brew a pot of coffee at middle of the night right before a podcast.
Yeah.
Then you're up the entire evening. What you need is good, sustained energy, clarity of mind, not, a jolt of caffeine that hurts
Yeah.
your body and all these things. Absolutely. And Magic Mind does all that stuff and has that. Okay, matcha. I want to talk about matcha, Drew.
Okay. All right.
The green vegetable matcha, that buzzword, that superfood. I didn't think I'd like matcha. I
Uh-huh.
am starting to like matcha, and that's one of the big key ingredients here is that lovely green superfood that has the benefits of all the keeping you goings.
Yeah. And it's cool stuff. It's pricey,
Mm-hmm.
matcha is, but they stick it in this with some great other ingredients, all natural stuff. But you can get it through us with our code. So we want you to check out this Magic Mind elixir. Check this out. It is Go to magicmind.co/comics fun profit.
And elixir really is the perfect word for it. It's a nice little elixir. It's very cool.
Yes, for sure. If you feel you want to try this out, go to magicmind.co/comicsfunprofit and use our code. You can get 20% off of an initial one-time purchase or up to 56% off of a subscription. So if this sounds good to you, go to magicmind.co/comicsfunprofit and use our code CFP. You can get up to 50%, 56% off your subscription for the next 10 days with the code CFP. Or you can just use that discount code CFP at magicmind.co/comicsfunprofit to get 20% off a one-time purchase. Just to sample, dip your toe, check it out.
Aloha! It's Jason from Hawaii. Welcome to a special edition of the Comics for Fun and Profit podcast. In this episode, I will be interviewing comic book creator
Melissa Capriglione.
Melissa. Thank you very much for pronouncing your last name because listeners know I butcher everybody's name.
No worries. It's a tough one.
Thank you very much. Now, Melissa is here to promote her latest work, Basil and Oregano. Now, this graphic novel is from Dark Horse and is out in stores right now. Melissa, welcome to the Comics for Fun and Profit podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's a little stormy here, but I'm good.
No, but thank you very much. Thank you for your time today. I'm sorry about the bad weather that you're having there right now. Hopefully, it's nothing too serious or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. It's just the dog. He doesn't like it.
I'm gonna say that's fine too. If you're, what's your name of your dog? We should, let me start off with that.
His name is Kit.
Ah, okay, all right. And I think I know I have a question for you about one of the pets or the familiars in the story.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you that when we get to that section. Now, listeners, I'm going to go over some of Melissa's past works. She's done a number of successful Kickstarters. One of them is called Spirit, Pink Heart, and Falconhurst.
Falconhurst, yeah.
Okay. All right. And then also too, you've also did print. You're also a print illustrator for the Deadliest Bouquet. Deadliest Bouquet was written by a friend of the show, Erica Schultz. And I showed Melissa earlier before the interview that I have one of her prints, and it's the character Violet from the Deadliest Bouquet. Did you do any of the other characters like Poppy and I think Rose are the other two sisters?
Yeah, I did Poppy and Rose, and I believe she also used it as a cover for like a little print journal that they put in rewards as well for the Kickstarter.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's really nice. And then also too, you work you are also a colorist. You have worked on Future Girls issues 2 and 3 from Arledge Comics, and also Dog Night from Macmillan. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Now, Melissa, do you want to add anything that I may have missed, or do you want to point out something to the listeners that they should also check out as well?
Not at the moment. I currently have a lot of stuff in the works, but nothing to point out just yet.
Okay, all right, thank you. Now, before we begin the interview, I want to give a big shout out to, again, a friend of the podcast, Erica Schultz. Erica had a hand in setting up this interview. So, Erica, mahalo for your help. Melissa, I'm going to ask, do you want to add anything to that?
Not much. Just I'm excited to see Erica again at New York Comic Con this year.
Oh, that's going to be pretty cool. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I did a pinup of her recent series. What is it? The one that they just kickstarted.
Cristobal?
Yeah, Christabel. I did like a little pinup, and they have it in the back of the book, and she was going to give me a copy of the book for it.
Oh, wait. All right, listeners, hang on. Give me a minute. Because I have. Oh, now I can't find it. All right. Okay, I know, listeners, you guys, I know this is an audio podcast. You guys can't see it, but Melissa can see behind me my tons of comic boxes and books, and yeah. But when I do find it, I have to check that out. I have to find your print in the back. Okay. All right. Now, also too, I got some information from Fan-Based Press Between the Panel series. Now, this one was titled Cartoonist Overcoming Early Frustrations, Appreciating Colorists, and Making Her Puppy into a Comic Hero. Now, this was written by Kevin Sharp, and the article is dated on August 10th, last year, 2022. Basically, it's almost a year ago.
Wow.
Yes, I just realized that right now. Now, listeners, if you guys get a chance, please check out that great interview. That's where I got some of my background information about Melissa. Now, Melissa, where can listeners follow you on social media?
It is M Capriglione Art on formerly Twitter, also Instagram and Tumblr, and I'm also on Blue Sky.
Oh, okay. Also, would you like to go ahead and plug your website?
Yes, I do have a website. It's mcapriglione.art. That is my shop. And then I also have a portfolio website called mcapriglioneart.weebly.com.
All right, thank you very much. Now, Melissa, for some of our listeners, like, what was some of your favorite series you read while growing up?
Well, for manga especially, I didn't get into it until I was like in middle school. But that was around the time when Death Note was coming out. Okay. And I was an edgy little teenager, so I absolutely ate that up. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I was also really into Junji Ito back then when Uzumaki was still coming out, I believe. Read the whole series, or read some of his short stories that he had out at the time, so I was a big fan from the beginning. But I was definitely into more of like the edgy anime style stuff. I would pick up anything from our local library and pick it up, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Oh, but that's pretty cool. That is. Now, I'm going to ask, like, how did you get started in comics? Like, what drew you to become an artist, colorist?
Initially, it came from reading, the Sunday comics in the newspaper. It wasn't necessarily that format that I was very, like, the, comedy format that I was interested in, but it was more so just like being able to tell a story within a square using characters and bubbles. And that absolutely fascinated me, just like as a concept. Like, I could tell any kind of stories. But I did have difficulty getting into like regular comics because at the time, there was a lot of it was very superhero saturated. It was very marketed towards like, boys and,
yes,
older audiences. So like as, a young child, I didn't find that very interesting at all. But nowadays, I think it's really great that there's a whole different kind of market that, like me as a kid, could have read back in that time, and that would have been amazing.
Yes. Let's see, and then off the cuff question. I'm sorry, I don't mean to, but like, while you're like, when was this? Was this like in the 90s or early 2000s when you're growing up regarding comics?
Well, I was born in 95, so about, as soon as I could like draw and read, I was interested in comics as a format.
But yes, I was gonna say, yeah, back in the 2000s, yes, it was, yeah, it was. I understand because it was just more superhero stuff. It was just, I think there are. I'm joking on this part, but yet I'm serious. There are probably like 10 different Spider-Man series, 12 Superman series, and so forth. Yep. So like I said,
Yeah.
I understand.
And like nowadays, I've gotten a lot more into superhero stuff, like Spider-Verse. I absolutely love Spider-Verse. And like a lot of they do have more like young adult type superhero stuff that doesn't require like having to read thousands of issues beforehand to understand the story.
Yes.
So I really enjoy like that kind of movement in the comic industry.
Yeah, oh yes. That I'm gonna say that I understand. Yeah, no, like I said, I really understand. Just real briefly, because like even in the 90s, um, because back in the mid 80s, the Claremont Byrne X-Men run was great. Read it. I think I kind of fell off the X-Men close to the when it hit issue 200.
Jeez.
Try to get back into the X-Men in the 1990s, and I was like, I have no idea what's going on. It
Yeah.
was impenetrable. It really was. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so
Yeah, I do love how like it's more accessible now. Like you can watch a movie or pick up a book and you can kind of understand like the backstory of it without having to go back tens, thousands of years. So
yes.
nice.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. Yeah, no, I
In
too old until you said
the
thousands. Yeah,
timelines.
I'm, I'm
Or
joking.
1,000 years of the future.
Yes, right. I love that. Or thousand years timeline in the future. I love that. All right, so I'm sorry. Let me get back on track. So, yeah, how did you feel? Yeah. So, now I'm going to ask you, like, how did you feel when you saw your name, um, on a comic book, whether it was a digital format or a hard copy? How did you feel when you saw that?
I know for Basil and Oregano specifically, it was like my first like my own thing because I did you mentioned Falconhurst earlier, that's my webcomic.
Yes.
I worked on that since about 2016 and I had a co-author and it
Mm-hmm.
was an extremely fun project and it's kind of been on hiatus for a while, but I having Basil and Oregano as like my thing that I wrote, that I draw,
Yes.
and having that like in my hands as like a physical book, like it
Yes.
felt very surreal.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got a big giant shipment of books from Dark Horse about a month before the release. And
Nice.
I just kind of like sat there and just like picked up all the books and was like, I made this.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's definitely surreal. It definitely doesn't feel real at first, especially, but I've definitely gotten more used to it over the years of doing like my own art print.
Mm-hmm.
I've done like shorter shorter projects, zines and stuff. So
Mm-hmm. That is so nice. Thank you very much for sharing that. Thank you.
yeah.
All right. Now let's just jump into perfect segue. Let's just jump into Basil and Oregano. Now,
Yeah.
for listeners, what is the story about?
So it's about two girls who attend a magical cooking school and they end up falling in love.
Mm-hmm.
But then one of them has a secret.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna spoil that.
No, I'm not going to spoil that either. But yes, yes, yes. And then let's go through your characters. Like, who is Basil?
Basil is kind of me. There's a lot of parts of me in the characters.
Mm-hmm.
When I was first writing it, I was definitely Basil, but as I was as I was like drawing the book and like finishing it up, I was definitely Arabella. So it was interesting having to like put my own personality into the characters and see how they evolve throughout the story.
Mm-hmm.
But Basil is a very hardworking and very what's the word?
Working.
Totally
Um.
escaped me. But like wanting to like ambitious. That's what it
Okay. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
is. Yeah, very ambitious. She has these big dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And then Arabella is someone who comes from a famous chef family. Her mom is a famous TV chef.
Yes.
But Arabella has to work through, who she is
Yes.
outside of that as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then they have two friends. There's Billy, and then there's Addie.
Yes.
And they're all like just like best friends. They hung out, and they have like a little bit of a backstory towards the middle of the book as well.
And we're not going to spoil, but I love that backstory of how, how they met and how they stuck together. And that's very nice. That's very nice. It's very touching. It's very touching.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to go back a little bit to Basil because the other thing with because Oregano, her mom is this famous, magical chef, and she's got to live up to expectations. But Basil basically comes from she really, like you said, she's ambitious, but she has to work to maintain her scholarship because her family's not well to do. They're not famous. Her dads are basically just working hard to try to keep, to send her to this school,
Yeah.
And and just as more as I talking about this, but it's a nice balance to show that in this story, especially for them to be at this prestigious school, to show how much has got to be put in, how much work has to be done, how much ambition has to be put in, because I think I think I'll mention a little bit later on in my comments too, that how it kind of affects her as well, Basil.
Yeah, the pressure definitely affects them a lot.
Yes. So now also too, I want to talk about Cynthia. And I love how you spelled her name with an X, Xynthia. I love it. How did you come up with that name? How did you come up with that spelling?
It's kind of weird, but there's the Rugrats character, Angelica, has a doll named Cynthia, but I always thought it was Cynthia when I was a kid. And so when I was thinking of like, kind of like a snobby rich girl who, needs to pick on other people to feel better about herself, that's like kind of like the first name that came to my mind. But yeah, I just thought it was a cool name.
Like I said, I love the cool spelling because I'm like, oh man, this is pretty awesome. This is so cool. This is awesome. This is a dumb question now. For your characters, because it sounds like some of them are recipe ingredient. Is that correct?
Originally, I know especially Billy and Addie were based off of like herbs as well.
Yes.
Billy was originally turmeric and Addie was sage.
Oh.
So like I kind of kept that throughout their character designs and kind of throughout their like character like archetypes, like having that like characteristic of the ingredient coming through in their character.
Oh, I have to say that is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Did you also have fun coming up with some other names in the book, like the Porta Bella Academy, Prestogram?
I don't know. I kind of just have a lot of fun thinking of like funky little world building stuff like that. But I thought like Porta Bella is like, it's like a port, it's the kind of a name of a town, but also, a mushroom that's very famous in cooking. So I thought it would just be silly and cute.
No, but that's pretty cool. And then now you've already mentioned that, you have a dog. Now, how much fun was it to include cute animal, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're familiars, are they? Is that correct?
Yeah. Magical beans.
And then Tomato is Basil and Oregano's kind of pet, right? Is a pet dog. Now, first off, how did you come up with Tomato for the dog? The name Tomato for the dog?
I since I do a lot of cooking myself, I do a lot of Italian cooking. Every time I make a tomato-based sauce, I always use basil, I always use oregano, and I thought that like the three of them together were just like this like amazing like combination. And then tomato is also based off of my dog Kit.
Yes.
He has that little like white stripe going up his nose, and he's kind of like a little bit of a smaller dog. He's like He kind of looks like a little pit bull because my dog is like a part pit mix.
Uh-huh.
So he's based off of that as well.
Oh, that's so cool. That is. Um, and then what was some of your inspiration in writing this story? Because
I A lot of it has to do with my artistic growth. It's kind of like an allusion to being an artist as well. Because I do a lot of cooking as like a hobby,
Mhm.
but art is like my main income. It's my main job. That's what I
Yes.
do. And so I wanted to create a story that was create like what's the word? Connection or something
Mhm.
like that between the two, and those kind of like troubleships that you go through, having to put the pressure on creativity basically.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, no, now I'm kind of going to jump ahead a little bit um because Basil kind of goes through a little bit um of that pressure on herself,
Mm-hmm.
where she's going, I need to, because and I'm not gonna, and I'm trying not to spoil the story, but there is a moment where she's gonna, I need to keep doing this, and one of her main focus is always, I gotta study, and her friends are going, hey, why don't you just come out for a couple hours? No, I gotta study,
Mm-hmm.
and something happens during one of the school's major tests, something that triggers her, to kind of like shut down and have, you know, and and I and we talked about it, and like I said, we don't have to talk about the scene, and I don't want to talk about the scene because it kind of spoils it, but I love that scene where um she reaches out to, some of her friends point, you need to talk to one of the teachers to help you,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Did you want to comment more on that or explain a little bit more on that?
Yeah, there's a decent part of the book that talks about burnout. And that's something that every artist, writer, any creative, has been through. And a lot of it is because we put this like financial pressure on us to work as hard as we can.
Mm-hmm.
And that can lead to, some very bad thoughts, and
Mm-hmm.
that can prevent us from creating further. And that's
Yes.
something that I've faced many times in my career, to this day still. And I wanted to address it in a way that was like a part of the story as well,
Yes.
because not only to like help myself process it, but to help other people process it.
Yes. You know, I'm going to say thank you very much for sharing, for sharing to opening up yourself a little bit and sharing,
Mhm.
you know, what you have gone and, and sometimes continue to go through. I have to say that scene, this is off the cuff, and that scene was very well written. It
Thank
felt
you.
very real. That's the thing I loved about it. It felt natural.
It was very personal, I feel
Hmm.
like.
Yeah, no, but thank you very much.
Yeah.
Um, Correct me if I'm wrong, because when I was reading the story, I had, and like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, but I also had a sense that not only a story was a personal story for you, but then also too, it seemed like you were having a little bit of a fun because there was a little bit of a Harry Potter influence to the story. Am I wrong
A
on that
little
part?
bit.
You
A
know,
little bit. I'm definitely part of the generation that grew up in Harry Potter. It definitely fell off for me very quickly, but I did and very much enjoy the idea of like a magical boarding school, and that
yes.
was something that I also like explored in my webcomic Falconhurst.
Oh, okay.
Um, it's just because like my generation grew up so much on like those books. I
Yes.
think I only read like the first three or four, and I kind of just fell off.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, there's just something about like a magical community
Yes.
like that.
Hmm. But I thought that was pretty cool. You know, I
Hmm.
you know, just to be upfront, I've never read any of the Harry Potter books, and I'll just be honest, those things are too thick. You know.
Yeah, I mean the text was pretty big on the pages, but like once it started getting to like the fourth book, I was like, that's too much. It's too much. It definitely had like a certain kind of charm in like the first 2 or 3 books.
Yeah.
And it just like fell off, basically.
Oh, okay.
To me, at least. But
now I want to talk about the art style. I love the amazing art style in the book. I really love it. And
thank you.
The reason I love it is because it just looks like a cool anime movie. I don't know how to describe it, but it just looks like cool animated cells were just like taken from the movie and put in the book, and it was really natural. I love it when and I know we talked about a little bit before we did the interview, was there's some I love when there's some scenes where Oregano's talking to one of the teachers and you can see Basil in the background. She's a little bit blurred out, but you can see her and you still see the image behind them. Like, it's almost like the camera focusing on the foreground. That's what I love.
Yeah, I do enjoy doing like more cinematic, like quote unquote cinematic
Yes.
cuts from like panels and stuff. Like, because I also do like illustration as well. I like to put in like a bunch of different lighting and stuff like that.
And that's right, because the other thing I love about it, and thank you for saying that, there's just certain panels, your large panels are just cinematic. Like I think when we see the entrance of the Porta Bella Academy, where there's the 2 big staircases going up, and the lighting, the sunlight coming through, you can see the shadows, the different shades of shadows. Some of the interior designs are amazing. I love it.
Thank you.
Just really great. It is.
Thank you. I definitely leveled up a lot in my backgrounds working on this book.
Okay. There's one panel that sticks out to me. I'm gonna try to describe it. It's okay if you don't remember it, but there's one scene.
I have a copy right here if you want to pull up the page number.
Oh
I
God,
have
no!
it right on my desk.
But
I have like a giant stack of books right here, and it's mostly manga, but it's also stuff that I've worked on, so I can be like, what did this character look like? So I can have a reference right here.
It's the one where Basil is walking out of their class. It's it's a big hallway, and there's the students are walking, either there's background where they're walking to a class or they're walking, away from class.
Was it this one?
Yes. I'm sorry. Sorry, listeners. I know this is an audio, but yes, that's the one. I love it because I love the color design on there too, and the lighting on that. That's just amazing.
Thank you.
But
yeah, that definitely comes from my colorist work, because I've done quite a few series that I've colored as well, like just colored, so that I'm able to like focus more on like how things pop like that. So that definitely came from that experience.
But oh my God, I love it. It's so stunning. It's really great. The other thing I love too, and I forgot to write this down, but I love it. The other thing about the anime style that I love is when Basil does the, like, she's gonna cry, or she has some type of emotional scene, and it's like, oh my God, that's from an animated series. I just love the influence on it. It's great.
That's one thing that always really drew me to anime and manga, is like how much like emphasis there is on like certain character expressions, and how a lot of different kinds of expressions have come from anime and manga specifically, that like a lot of people in like Western comics have also adapted.
Yes.
So I always found that very interesting, and like I'm always finding like new manga to buy and like look at, just because like of how that artist specifically does like just certain facial features.
That's so cool. Off the cuff question. I know you've gone. I read, I think I think it's from your website, that I think you go to a lot of conventions and stuff. I don't know about the conventions on the mainland, but have you ever meet any of the manga artists or anything like that?
No, a lot of manga artists don't really do a lot of like North American shows. There was one artist I had a table next to at Emerald City last year. I forgot what her name was, but she does like this little polar bear illustration, like has like little plushies and like little illustrations. She also did a couple of Pokemon card illustrations, and I was a huge Pokemon card collector as a kid, so I was like totally dorking out, and I was like, "Can you sign my card?" But she was amazing. I forgot what her name was, but she had somebody commission her to do like one of the traditional brush stroke illustrations on like a huge scroll. We had 6-foot tables. She like laid it out, and then she just like drew this amazing landscape, just like no sketching, just kind of like it was amazing to watch.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's so cool. All right. So, Melissa, as I mentioned before the interview, you're gonna have to forgive me because I'm just an old comic book fan. And we're not going to go to the 1,000-year thing, okay? Yeah, but I think this story is cute. I really love it, and what I really love about the story is that it deals with relationships on different level, on a personal level, on a personal level, friendship level, even levels with dealing with parents as well.
Mentor and mentee, that was also something that I wanted to bring to the table as well.
Yes, that's right. And also too, and I love how you also brought in the aspect of the outside pressures we put on ourselves to make sure that we succeed, to make sure we have to make sure we're on top. We have to make sure we get this thing done. And I love how you brought that into the book, and how it was shown that Basil faced burnt out, and how and literally how she went through and that's the other thing I love too, is that I think there was like about maybe 2 pages to show what kind of burnout she went through, how it affect her. That was a real nice way of showing the burnout. It was a very unique, again, I don't want to spoil it for listeners, but I just thought that was great. And then again, how she was talking to a teacher about burnout. I thought that was really great. The other thing I also liked about the story too, that it's about grace, and it's also about respecting not only yourselves but other people as well too. So like I said, it's a great story. I'm sorry, I keep saying cute, but
I mean, it is cute. I do like cute stuff. You can't see it right now, but behind my computer screen, I have shelves of stuffed animals in my office.
So listeners, as I mentioned, I read the fan base press article. There is a picture of one of your shelves with stuffed animals, and it's a certain character, right, that you like. Are you
it's
okay?
Rilakuma.
Okay, now you got okay. Yes, listeners, yes, I am half Japanese. You gotta explain to me what that is.
I think Rilakuma like roughly translates to relaxing bear, and he's just like a fat lazy bear who likes to eat snacks and sleep all day. And I think it's a good like personal inspiration, because like when you work so hard, sometimes you just gotta lay on the couch and eat snacks and play video games. But I just think Rilakuma is like super cute, and they just have like a bunch of like ridiculous little stuffed animals, games, and stationery. I just collect it like crazy.
No, but that's pretty cool. That really is. And then also, I'm sorry, because again, because there's you have an amazing anime collection, because I can see on your shelf back there there's some other anime stuff too. That's so cool. Off the cuff question.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Since I do a lot of like conventions, I do a lot of shopping at conventions, because I get bored and I want to walk around, and I do a lot of like purchasing stuff. So yeah, I do collect like anime figures and the little toys and all that stuff. So I do have a collection.
No, but that's pretty cool. Actually, I'm going to hold off a couple questions towards the fun question end part. So, Melissa, since the book is titled Basil and Oregano, I have to ask this question. Actually, you've already answered that. You are a chef in the kitchen that you do as a hobby. So yeah.
Yes, as a hobby.
So I'm off the cuff question. I know we talked about that you make you make spaghetti a lot. What is your other famous dishes that you love to make?
I do really enjoy making curry because I have like a couple of different spices that I like to use.
Mhm.
I use like the pack, it's just like the box pack of like the golden Japanese curry.
Yes.
But then I always add like a bunch of different things. We have like these like chili jars and we have different curries that I've gotten from around different stores, and I definitely love using like the different mixtures.
That's
And it's
nice.
just so filling and it's so warm and it's just like a very good comfort dish.
Yes. Oh, nice. That's really. Um, all right. I'm gonna ask. So, how did you team up with Dark Horse for this book?
So I originally was pitching this story to agents so that I could have, someone to like facilitate that communication between me and publishers, and also to have the resources that agencies have of like reviewing contracts and like making sure everything is fair and making sure everything is good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and basically that's just like something that's pretty standard if you want to do like graphic novels.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of need to have an agent to, be able to pitch to these larger publishers so that you can get into like what is considered like traditional publishing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I pitched it to the agent, and I ended up signing with sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I ended up pitching to Laurel, who is my current agent.
Mm-hmm.
And she absolutely loved it. She, we talked on the phone. She's like, I love this. Do you want to be my client? And I thought that was amazing. So yes, I signed. And so that we started to refine the story. I redid the pitch pages, and then we did pitch it around, but Dark Horse picked it up, and they really enjoyed it, and they wanted to publish it. So I thought that was really cool.
Oh,
Dark Horse was one of my dream publishers in art school.
that is so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool. That is really nice. Now, um, do you want to give a shout out to the rest of your creative team?
Yeah, Brett Israel was my main editor
Mm-hmm.
throughout the whole process, and he was pretty hands off because like he wanted the story, he loved the story as is and wanted to make sure it was preserved, but he was always good at like pointing like small things out, and was always like really really chill when I needed to push the deadline a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then also Sarah, my colorist and letterer, is also my girlfriend, so.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Major shout out to her.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. No, but yes, thank you very much because when I saw Sarah colorist, I was kind of going, I was like, I was kind of going, I think that's your girlfriend. So yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and please, if you want to comment on this, because I love in the opening pages that you mentioned that Sarah is the basil to your oregano.
Hmm.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to add any? I'm just asking, do you want to add anything to that or?
So me and Sarah, we actually went to art school together. We graduated together in the same major, and we met in our senior year, basically. And we've been dating pretty much since then, inseparable. But after we graduated, I like went full time as an illustrator, and she has like a day job that she works at an office.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was very frustrated because she wasn't like able to create as much. And I asked her if she wanted to help out with the book, and she was like, "Yes, please. I need to do creative stuff." So she did the flat colors for a lot of pages, and she also did the lettering. And before this book, she had never lettered ever. She like hardly knew anything about books, like lettering comic books at all.
Uh-huh.
So I got her a copy of Nate Picos's book,
Mm-hmm.
like lettering for comics. She
Uh-huh.
like picked it up, flipped through, and then just like amazing. Was
Mm-hmm.
an amazing letterist. So that was really cool. She did an amazing job.
That's so cool. That is so cool that you guys, because now this is me saying it's kind of nice because Basil and Oregano story kind of sort of almost mirrored your guys' relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. I think like I mentioned in the beginning, I I was Basil, but then
Yes.
now I'm Arabella, and
Mhm.
I think pretty much my girlfriend is Basil. So like
Mhm.
they have similar personalities. So I think I was writing about her the whole time, like subconsciously.
Yeah. But
Because she also talks to Poe, her plant, in the book, and my girlfriend collects plants.
oh, that is so cool.
Hmm.
That that is so cool. Now, is Kit running around behind you?
I heard a meow. I didn't think the cat was in my office, but I
Oh,
guess she
you have
is.
a, oh, you have a cat too? What's your cat's name?
Yeah, Rosemary.
Oh, I think Rosemary is probably going, don't spoil it, don't spoil it. Just keep going, don't spoil it.
She's probably like, "Why are you talking so loud? I'm trying to sleep."
Yeah. Off the cuff question, will we see more of Basil and Oregano stories?
Maybe.
Okay.
Um, I have
You,
talked to my agent. I can't say anything like
oh
for
yeah.
certain now, but I have talked to my agent about a potential sequel.
Hmm.
And she said most publishers like to hold off
Yeah.
until they see how the first book sells. So we're gonna kind of wait for a little bit, but I definitely have a lot of stories that were part of like previous drafts that maybe
Yes.
I want to implement. There's also maybe some merchandise that I wanted to look into getting made for the book. I wanted to get a little tomato plush,
Oh my
some enamel
God.
pins.
Yes.
I thought like a sweater would be really cool, like Porta Bella Academy would be
Yeah.
really cute. But yeah, I hope there's more in the future. I have had a lot of comments saying that people would love to see it as like an animated series or like a movie, and I
Yes.
thought that was absolutely cool. I would love to see that. So if anybody from Netflix is listening,
Yeah.
that would be awesome.
I'm gonna say I think it would really work well as an animated series. But if it becomes a movie, that's
Hmm.
good too. Um,
Yeah.
sorry, another off the cuff question I'm just thinking about was I'm just asking is if you can't say anything, that's fine, but are there any plans to translate it into Japanese?
I'm not really certain about any translations so far. I think it's mostly North America for now,
Hmm.
but I think it would be really cool to see it in Japanese and any other language, honestly. I think it would just be like amazing to think that,
Yes.
on any other part of the world, like somebody could read my book.
Yes. Yeah. All right. And then I'm gonna ask, do you have anything else lined up that you're working on that if you can talk about?
Yeah, I can talk about a few. I am currently, since I was colored for the Dog Knight for Macmillan,
Hmm.
the writer for that is Jeremy Whitley.
Hmm.
And throughout the process, Jeremy Whitley noticed that my art would be good for another upcoming project that he's working on that he's writing with Ben Kahn. So I'm working on a graphic novel with him, Ben Kahn, and with Anathenium from Simon and Schuster.
Okay.
It's called The Dashing School for Wayward Princes, and it's about it has a trans main character. It's
Hmm.
about toxic masculinity, and
Hmm.
I'm currently thumbnailing it, and it's such a cute story. I've cried multiple times. Jeremy Whitley is a great writer. Like I
Yes.
absolutely love his writing.
Hmm. All right. I'm slowly wrapping things up. You've already talked about one convention moment at Emerald City Comic Con. Do you have any other favorite convention moment, whether as a
Um,
fan or as a creator?
I mostly only go as a creator now. Mostly just because like I don't like crowds, so I like to sit behind the table
Hmm.
away from the crowds.
No.
But I think a cool moment a couple years ago, I got a signed copy of Mikey Way's graphic novel with C2. I
Hmm.
got to meet him. I got him to sign the comic, and I like gave him like a little sketchbook of mine that I had printed.
Hmm.
So I got to meet him, and that was pretty cool.
I'm sorry, you said it wasn't that was Mikey Way, was that correct?
Mikey Way, yeah, Gerard
Okay.
Way's brother.
Oh, okay. Now that's the perfect segment because I was kind of going, wait a
Hmm.
minute. That's the perfect segue because
Hmm.
in the fan base article, you said that you have a playlist and
Hmm.
sometimes you have My Chemical Romance. Okay,
Hmm.
so you just only met Gerard Way's brother at a con then. You've never met Gerard
Yeah.
Way.
No, I don't think Gerard has done any conventions in quite a few years. I'm not sure, like ever since the Umbrella Academy Netflix
Ah,
premiere.
yeah.
Um, but I do hope he does sometime soon because that would be really cool. I think it's like super cool that like a member of a band that I listened to growing up and like loved is now a comic book writer.
Yes.
So I keep thinking like it would be amazing if I could draw something for him. Like that would be super cool.
That'd be
But
nice.
maybe someday. I did see My Chemical Romance live last year, so technically have seen him in person.
Okay, all right. That's so cool. Do you when's your next convention appearance, or do you have a store signing appearance coming up, like in the end of August or September?
At the end of August, I think, not this weekend, but the weekend after, I will be in Indianapolis at Indie PopCon.
Mm-hmm.
And then mid-October, I'll be at New York Comic Con. I have talked to Dark Horse about doing a signing at New York Comic Con, so hopefully I should have a signing there.
Oh, that's gonna be nice. And then you can
Yeah.
pick up your hard copy of Cristobal from Erica, right?
Yeah, because Erica Schultz has a table, so I'll definitely be stopping by.
Oh, that's
I met her very, very briefly at the last New York Comic Con. She didn't have a table, but she was a panelist, and she was like making her way through like super quickly, and like the crowds are great. So she popped in. She's like, "Oh my gosh, hi! Here, I'm Erica Schultz, and bye." It's nuts there. It's very nuts.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a fun show.
Okay. Couple more questions. Have you and your family been to Hawaii?
No, but I think I would very much love to. I am a big nature buff, and I think volcanoes are the coolest thing. Like I was always like a big nerd of like geology and like marine life and stuff like that. So I think it'd be amazing.
I'm gonna say I think going to the Big Island would be the perfect place for you to go. It's gonna be I think you would love it there.
I think so too. It's definitely like a once in a lifetime thing. Like you have to do. Just because of like the beautiful nature and like the wonderful culture, and like I'd love to visit.
And then off the cuff, actually I'm not since you love anime stuff, since hopefully someone invites you to a convention down here. Because
I hope so. I heard what is your major convention there?
We have three major ones. KawaiiCon is the more of the animated convention. And I know, like you said, New York is crazy. It's because I've never been to any of the conventions on the mainland, but I've seen pictures where it's like sometimes it's really packed.
It gets packed.
But our conventions down here, like KawaiiCon is the major anime conventions where we have voice actors, not only from mainland, but I think from Japan as well too. And I want to say I think sometimes they'll bring over Japanese anime or manga artists as well too.
Must be cool.
Yes, and then the thing is, usually the attendees are roughly. It's not crazy packed. It's crowded, but you can move around. It's not like you move left, you bump into someone. You move right, you bump into somebody. It's not that packed. So it's easy. And if you need space to like, okay, this is a little too much, you can always walk outside, or you can find something along the wall where there's not too many people just sitting down, just chilling out for a little.
Yeah. Some shows, like especially for me, like I get really overwhelmed, and like I bring my girlfriend Sarah along with me too, and she gets very easily overwhelmed. Like we can't go to Costco on Saturday because she just gets so overwhelmed. But conventions are tough for her.
No, but again, I'm the old guy. So yeah, it's like, oh God, the crowds,
Especially now, since after 2020, but like even before 2020, like I would get sick constantly after big shows.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's a lot better now that there's at least some masking, but like I remember the last C2E2 of like 2020, which was like the week before everything shut down.
Yes.
I got so sick. It wasn't COVID. I had like some sort of like really bad like ear infection and like I was just like a huge fever, just so sick.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Haven't been that sick since though, so that's good.
The other major conventions is we just had our Comic-Con Honolulu. It's run by the same organizers as KawaiiCon. And they just put out the numbers of how much people attended this year's convention. It's the first time in 3 years that they had it back. So it's
Wow.
like 7,600 attendees. So again,
Not bad.
it's not bad. You know, I mean, literally, you can go up to the table, and we had big name stars like Mark Waid, Howard Chaykin, Carl Potts, Kevin No. You can walk up to the table and literally talk to Mark Waid for 5 minutes, and
Yeah.
there's no line. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
someone was, like one or two people will stand behind you, and it's like, okay, yeah, I gotta finish my conversation.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you can always circle back. Like if there's no one at this table, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially as like a creator, like I have difficulty doing that too. It shows because like there's a person who is literally my hero, like an aisle down, and I
Yes,
really want to talk to them, but they have a huge line, and I don't
yes,
want to impede on that, but also I don't want to talk to them.
yeah. And the other thing too is that with Comic-Con Honolulu, what's really nice too is like you said, if you want to go talk to a creator, because you're a creator, you want to go talk to that person. I mean, you can. There's time. You can go there, you can walk up, matter of fact, at this last convention, Carl Potts was talking to Howard Chaykin, and they were there for like maybe about 10, 15 minutes without being interrupted. And that's
Wow.
pretty cool. It
Mm-hmm.
really it's really nice.
Yeah.
Um, and then also and like at Kauai-Con, Comic-Con Honolulu, and the third major one is Amazing Comic-Con Hawaii. Um, um, you know, if you want to look for anime stuff or um items and so forth, usually you will have this same vendors at each show basically. I think
Mm-hmm.
Kauai-Con may be a little bit different. I think there's more that I think some of them probably go there, there'll be probably a little bit more vendors there to cater to the anime,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But
I know a couple of artists. I Kawaii-Con sounds familiar. I know a couple of artists who have done that show before.
okay. And then Amazing Comic Con is the one that one that they come in February,
Mm.
and they're the one that really bring down the the literal like the writers and the artists that are really are popular now. They're the ones that bring them down.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but again, it's like I think that one they draw maybe 10 to 15,000, but again, you're not bumping into people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, but
I would definitely love to go to a show down there sometime.
yeah,
Hopefully I get invited.
yes, yeah. So and what was I going to say? And I'm just saying, if you and Sarah decide to come down for vacation, Kauai-Con is in April, Comic-Con Honolulu is in August, Amazing Comic-Con Hawaii is in February. Even if you guys want to come down, you can always, of course, you can, because you guys know what days are pretty good, like Fridays, opening days. It's
Mm-hmm.
not too crazy. Saturdays,
Yeah.
yeah, it gets a little busy, and then Sunday kind of peters
Mm-hmm.
out, but so the crowds are not too crazy. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that bad. Yeah.
Yeah, Fridays and Sundays are like if I'm attending is usually the days that I go because it's more relaxed.
Yes. Yes. All right. Sorry, Melissa. All right. Final question. Um, any closing words to our listeners?
Um, uh, please check out Basil Oregano. It is on Amazon, or if you have a Barnes and Noble, it should be in Barnes and Noble.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, please give it a read and let me know what you think.
Yes. Melissa, mahalo. Thank you in Hawaiian. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you
Yeah,
very much for giving me the advance copy
yeah,
because
no worries.
I love, like I said, I love the story. The art is great. Oh, it's great, and the colors, the lighting, it's really good.
Thank you.
Um,
If you want, if you have like an address you want to email me, I can send you a physical copy. I have like 3 boxes here.
but no,
I have plenty of copies.
yeah, thank you. Um, and I want to wish you all the success with Basil and Oregano. And
Thank you.
I know you couldn't say anything, but I'm hoping to see a little more stories,
Me
from them.
too.
So now listeners, if you are a new comic book fan or a lifelong comic book fan, please check out Basil and Oregano. You know, it's a cute story. And I love it because it's about young people dealing with different levels of relationships, from romantic, parental to friendship, and even, and unfortunately, even dealing with people that you don't like. And also too, it deals with the outside pressures that we put on ourselves, and also it's about knowing who we are. Um, and I love it too. The other thing I love about it too is it's also about grace and respect as well. And as you guys heard, the art is amazing. I love it. It's amazing.
Thank you.
I want to thank Drew, the co-host of Comics for Fun and Profit, for putting this episode together. Drew, thank you very much for all your hard work behind the scenes. And if you are a new listener, please check out new episodes of Comics for Fun and Profit that comes out every Saturday. And I want to thank you, the listeners. Oh my God, I almost forgot to thank Erica. Erica, thank you very much for having a hand in getting this interview all set up. So Erica, thank you very much. And again, listeners, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for listening to this episode. Until next time, guys. Aloha.
Aloha.
Our LCS is Cowabunga Comics out of Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, and their mail order company, Deep Discount Comics. And we went there, and we were actually invoice number 00001. We were the very first their very first customer, which was kind of cool. They've been nothing short of fantastic, customer service wise. Discounts, they were very close, if not the same or better than DCBS on a lot of things. Over and above, customer service wise, always taking care of us, going the extra mile, so responsive, getting instantaneous responses back to questions about things, and to the point where knowing the stuff you like and anticipating your needs and having it suggested that you might want to add this to your order already before you even have to think about it. That's kind of cool. Really quality experience. So we love working with Cowabunga and Deep Discount, and that's why they're in our show notes every single episode, and have been for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of episodes. That we leave them there because we like them. They're cool, good people. That's why they're in there. By God, they'd tell you to, if you've got a local comic book shop that you love, stay with them, because everybody needs to support their local comic shops. But if you're looking, check them out. You can check them out in the show notes. There's plenty of ways to get a hold of them. Either get on their list, just so you can check and see what kind of FOC and pre-order stuff they have and the discounts, and they'll send it to you each month, get you on that email list. And you can check out their shop, because they have a great shop of exclusive Cowabunga variants. Amazing stuff. Yes, they've always been there for us, and we take them for granted. So there you go. Now you know.